Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cloud Architects. We have two really cool guests with us today from Ignite.
Talking about you.
Cloud architects.
Yeah,
He said
Cloud
we're
Architects.
I know, eh?
Patch and Switch, welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us.
The living legends.
Sure.
Or legendary, at least, if you prefer
Yeah.
that.
Dairy, probably.
Dairy,
Yeah.
dairy. Is this an allergy show?
It's an allergy-free zone.
Allergy free?
Lactose free.
It's and it's a lactose safe zone too.
I had my almond milk latte earlier today. I'm all set.
Oh, nice. Yeah, nice.
That's fantastic. And how's your week been, gents?
It's been busy, but it's been fantastic. Getting a chance to see everyone, see the community, the MVPs, our customers. I still have meetings left to do the rest
really?
of
Wow.
I have dinner tonight with a group of partners that I manage. So yeah, it's been busy.
It's been kind of crazy having to maintain your day job, plus also
Yes.
all the community aspects of,
yeah.
of the event itself. Like Joey, I also have some meetings besides recording podcasts with folks like you, with some customers, and also an evening meeting as well too. So
But we are under the impression that your full-time job is to be on camera.
you'd be surprised.
Nobody really wants to see that, actually. A couple times a year. All right, that's enough out of that.
So then what technically is your job titles? Like, what do they call you?
So I'm actually called a cloud advocate lead. So I have I've built a team of 7 people that are smarter than me that go off and create amazing content that is in demand by our customers and by our partners and by the community online that cover a variety of topics. And my particular team is focused on the operations side of Azure for the IT Pro audience and for the architects audience. For architecture, primarily VMs, but then also talking a bit about Kubernetes and containers and future looking, and then also a bit in the identity space and security space as well. But then we also handle the modernization of on-premises as well. A lot of our customers, the majority of the customers that are out there, are still very much having an on-premises focus.
Yes.
And we're trying to get them modernized. They can start to take advantage of some of the goodness that is inside of the Azure world.
I'm a senior program manager in the identity team. So I work in the Azure Active Directory team. And what I do is I have inside of the engineering team, we have a customer and partner experience team, which is designed basically to help us get feedback back to our engineering team faster and help our customers get deployed and to be successful. Customers and partners as well. So I manage a group of partners that help our customers get our product deployed, get managed services built around them, help get them secure. All around identity and Azure Active Directory.
Oh, we love your world. We really do. We had
I
Elizabeth
love my
Olsen
world
on.
too. Yeah.
We had Elizabeth Olsen on earlier on the show.
Yep.
And second year in a row. And one
So
of
there's absolutely nothing I can add to this podcast.
except that Rick promised us that by your exceptionally good looks, you'd balance everything out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At least his face for radio.
Yeah.
I do. I completely have a face for radio. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, your team is the cloud advocate team are incredible.
Yeah, we spent some time with them on the
Yeah.
road, and they're amazing.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
Yeah, last year and in Hong Kong, we got to mess around with. It was good fun. It was good fun.
And in Johannesburg.
I was there for Joburg.
Actually, I met you in
you're
Johannesburg.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joburg is fun. This year we've expanded, kicking off starting tomorrow, which is Saturday when we're recording this. I'm flying to Paris, and we're kicking off Ignite the Tour. 30 plus stops around the world this time. We've doubled the number of stops almost. And my team will be, at least 1 or 2 of my team will be at every single city stop to be able to make sure we have coverage. So we have a consistently high level of content and also high level of engagement. So if you look up Microsoft Ignite the Tour, you'll see the cities. They're free events you can go off and subscribe to and go off to and show up in your local city. It's mostly international tour. There's only, I think, 3 or 4 cities in the U.S. Primarily it's international for international
Not more
audience.
in China. this time around.
Yes, there's definitely more in China, Tokyo, Japan, and I'll be in Beijing in December.
Oh, wonderful.
I've never been to Beijing before.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm on my way to Shanghai right after this. It's the first time ever to Shanghai as well.
Awesome.
Really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool stuff.
So let's talk about our topic just for a little bit.
We have topics.
We have
Why?
a topic.
Wait. I thought I was just here. I thought I was just here to chit chat.
Well, I suppose it ties in nicely to the announcements that were made
Yeah.
this week. So, if we have to look, one of the big announcements inside of Azure was Arc.
Yep.
And that's multi-cloud, on-prem, the whole thing. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Let's just define Arc quickly for
Yeah.
people who don't know what that is. And go.
And go.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that. I'm curious. No, see, this is kind of a test to see how the message was received by someone other than Microsoft for what it was given. So I am curious to find out.
So so Arc is the ability to manage devices and servers and VDIs and containers and Kubernetes clusters. So workloads that aren't necessarily inside of Azure. So they can be in AWS, they can be on premises, and they can also help you move and manage those workloads as well. And the biggest thing about Arc is that it's free. When you think about what Amazon is charging, which I think they're charging somewhere in the region of like $8,000 a month per Kubernetes cluster or whatever the case may be, whereas Azure's doing it for free.
Joey, did you know that? I just saw a bit of a look from you on that
hang on
one.
a second. It worked.
Yeah.
The messaging works. So it's an architecture that allows you to, if you think about it, in the Azure world, internally in engineering, and I think we talk about this publicly too. I should probably figure that out before I say it. We talk about resource providers, right? So the different resource providers to be able to spawn up resources inside of Azure, as an example. We're extending that to also now have resource providers that can work in different locations. Because in case you didn't know, other clouds are pretty protective about their stuff, and they don't expose any APIs, don't expose anything to the outside world. They want you to use their management and monitoring tools, or for you to buy a third-party service to go in and to do those different management of stuff. So we're basically now able to go in and to start to bubble up stuff. The first level of things that are going to be going on are going to require some level of an install inside those other areas. So you have to put some stuff on the Kubernetes hosts to be able to go off the nodes and the management nodes. You'll have to be able to go in and put in a hybrid resource provider for on-premises machines. But then they appear as resources inside of Azure. And then once they're inside of Azure as a resource, then all the goodness that is inside of Azure can take place. And you can have log analytics take place. You can have security recommendations take place. You can have monitoring alerts and performance alerts take place. Recommendations.
You can upgrade Kubernetes even straight from the panel.
Yep. So the capabilities are being laid out, and they'll be continuing to evolve as they go. But it was a pretty substantial viewpoint that we gave this earlier in the week with the initial keynote. I think it was Gabe Monroy. I say Monroy or Molloy? It's Monroy, I think it is. I should know this because I said hello to him the first day he joined Microsoft from Deus back in the day from Colorado. He did the phenomenal demo about how Arc is going to be going off and working.
I think one of my favorite components of Arc, and again, it's not a single thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a set of technologies that allow things. Is the ability to do policy and governance. So basically, it allows you to leverage some of the configuration, security configuration, and governance of the servers. Everybody probably knows group policy. There are people in this world that have on their resume, I'm a group policy expert, right? And they know how to do that. You can think of some of the components of Arc and managing and these policies is kind of like a group policy. This is the next 20 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for the past 20 years, we've been doing group policy.
On premises, local, and
right?
contained,
So you can think of this, and mostly on the server side, as that's how you're going to manage those configurations.
Sure.
And you can take some of the practices that we already have when you spin up Azure VMs and some of those things, and apply those same policies in a very consistent manner to resources, regardless of where those resources live.
Yeah.
And it's really just kind of this next step as we move toward. We talked multi-cloud, and multi-cloud can exist on premises as well.
What about my on-premises VMware estate?
Initially, we're looking at doing it from a VM inside of the host configuration, right? We're not looking at the individual lower-level fabrics at this point in time. It's a natural extension. Again, I don't want to say any forward-looking statements because I don't have the details to be able to pry out of me, which is good. But if I look at it, I just see a VM as a VM as a VM. I don't care where it is. We don't at this time have any kind of lower level knowledge of what's happening down below until you start going into things like our migration tools, our migration tools do have the ability to go in and to take a look at the underlying vCloud platform,
Which has also been
bring it in.
completely redone, and
Updated and
updated.
redone,
and,
this week.
yeah.
Don't ask me questions on that one there. I haven't read that one yet. There's a book of news, in case you're wondering. Do you folks know about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
The book of news is available for download from the news.microsoft.com website that lists off. And you were saying the table of contents is how many pages long? Do you remember?
I think I want to say it was 14 or 15 pages.
Yes.
Just the table of contents.
Yes.
It was insane.
Yeah.
And then it has the details of all the different functions and features that we announced, or rather, the solutions that we've announced. We no longer do the functions and features things anymore.
Yep.
But how exciting is it that I have a virtual machine which could be on just about anything? It could be VMware, it could be on OpenStack, it could be on whatever, and I can see it in Portal, and I can report an instrument on it.
To me, that's going to be invaluable. I mean, the customers that I've seen and I talked with as well, as I mentioned, a lot of people in the space that I work in with modernization are very much in a, now I'm starting to look at the cloud. I mean, in your consultancies, working much more cloud forward, you're dealing with a lot of customers that are very much cutting edge and wanting to be there. Now we're starting to see that particular first level of the curve has gone and coming, and they're there and they buy into it. Now we've got this big, massive wave coming behind them that are now starting to be able to come forward and want to know what to do. So yeah, the ability to include them and have them visible inside the portal, as you mentioned, to be able to put policy against them and RBAC against them and stuff like that. The ability to install the hybrid agent on the different machines, it's going to be very powerful. And as you mentioned at the very beginning of all this, it's not just VMs.
Yeah.
VMs is obviously where 80% of our customers are going to be right now for what they're comfortable working with. Net new development or modernization of existing workloads that are being reimagined off of VMs into something more compact are going to be looking at containers. Kubernetes is the current winner in that space. And then also potentially re-architecting and looking at even avoiding Kubernetes and going straight to a microservices architecture instead. All that's coming down the road, but more and more people are looking at how can I get immediate value now using something like Arc and using the hybrid RP and other things like that to put all the stuff inside of one spot. It sounds marketing, but one pane of glass, the idea it's all in one spot.
It's like the show's done, we can leave.
Okay. It's great talking to you.
Multi-crowd.
And we're done.
No, now we can go back to what we were originally talking about.
But listen, when we talk multi-cloud, it was interesting. I had a conversation with Aaron Chappell, and it's kind of it comes in waves, right? And you look, it's like, okay, we're going to do this thing on-prem, and then you move to the cloud, and then you're expanding out beyond clouds, and then there may come a time where you eventually have to come back down again.
Yes.
Right. But you need to still be able to treat those resources as if they are cloud scalable resources, and all the things that they were working on in Azure, and the announcements that they made around the Arc stuff, this Ignite. That's exactly what they're doing. So it's not so much where anymore, and it's just using that methodology.
Yeah, I think there was a tweet that Jeff Woolsey put out, which was hilarious this week. He's like, our hybrid strategy is a true and full planned out complete strategy, multi-cloud, on-premises, exclusively on-premises, then also multi-cloud as well.
And the intelligent edge now.
And the intelligent edge as
the
well.
edge, yep.
And he's like, it's not a checkbox.
That's
right. It's not like, other cloud vendor, yeah, we do hybrid, check.
Yes.
They can get past the RFC or something like that. We actually have a full documented way of how we can go off and do this sort of stuff.
It's important to note the reality is hybrid's going to exist for a very long time.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something that we take very seriously inside of Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. And making sure that we have the ability to provide the security, to provide the governance, and to provide the compliance is absolutely key, no matter where you are. So we spent a lot of time here at Ignite complementing a lot of that hybrid messaging that was occurring, not just on the platform side, but also on the identity side, right? We start looking at how can you secure and those identities. That's
Well, you
key.
see, that's where security has moved. So again, so like one of my sessions now that I'm doing in a couple of minutes is on.
We have to wrap this one up soon.
He's over here.
Just
He's
check
like,
my watch.
I've got to go now.
Is firewalls inside of Azure, right? Network virtual appliances, and how people still need them because of certain things. But ideally, the firewall is not the protection mechanism anymore.
No, not at
it's
all.
like the person. right?
It's the identity. That's
Yeah,
it, period.
so the identity is the way you secure your resources. It's not the fact that your SQL server's out on the internet.
No.
It's got nothing to do with that anymore. So we're moving in that way where identity is the most important thing there.
The way I talk about this is that before we kind of had all of these things together inside. We had the user, the identity, you had the platform and the devices, the server, the application, you have the data. And really group policy and some of the things that we had inside of on-prem AD kind of did a little of this and a little of that kind of cross all of them. With Azure Active Directory, we had to split that out. And we have to, look, it's an IAM. That's what it is. It's purely an identity provider, and it's the one that we want everybody to use. And it does one thing, which is identity, and it manages it, it protects it. You want to connect your apps to the identity, have that single identity that is protected because it is that Alex Simons likes to call it the control plane. We've done a lot of control plane talking around the Azure side here, but that's it. It's that single place. It's that one place, and you know that that identity is trusted, and then more importantly, that the session that the identity has actually initiated is also trusted and secured.
Yeah.
So it's first make sure you turn on MFA because passwords suck. And until we can get rid of that, and we really are in the process of doing that. I think we've crossed the chasm now in terms of over 1 million identities are managed passwordless so far.
And we're some of those. We've been running passwordless for months.
Yep, absolutely. So a lot of investments, a lot of talk around passwordless. It is real. These are things you can do today, and eventually it's our goal and our mission to get rid of passwords altogether. And then in the future, change the way identity is handled.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's super cool and exciting. I think my favorite part about this is that just like the Arc things, this all can be done now, and it can all be done across no matter where you are.
Yeah.
And if you're on-prem, you're in Azure, you're in other clouds,
And it's not
still
hard.
that identity.
It's not hard either.
No, it's
Do you know what I mean?
it's
Like
really
to
not.
turn MFA on or to take your password away is really not hard. You like tick a box and it's gone.
Or to even bring your own identity and federate through Google, but still manage your object in Azure AD B2B again. So there's just so much goodness in there, and then policy and control them, and I still only have one directory. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. Leveraging conditional access and the things that we can do through conditional access policies is really kind of the game changer.
Yeah.
I kind of look at turning on MFA as it's kind of three major things. One, you turn on MFA for everything for everyone, which is really a bad experience. As somebody who was on the early insiders of when we did it at Microsoft, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, approve.
Yes.
And I've actually had customers that have gone through this route. And I was just over in Ireland. And I was speaking with a customer, and they're really struggling because they did this the first time and it was not a good experience, and so their CIO is really hesitant to go do it again.
A little bit gunshot.
But now we actually, through conditional access, and that's stage 2, right?
Yeah.
Being able to do conditional access and make those rules around when do you based on your location, your risk, those types of things. And then that third step is taking it out of the hands of IT to making the determination if the user is risky or the session is risky. And that's all around identity protection. And that's by leveraging the trillions and trillions and trillions of signals that we get every single day. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. We authenticate 45 billion authentications in a month.
Tenant-to-tenant migration, right?
Yep.
Tenant-to-tenant migration is hard.
Yes. Yes.
And I blame you.
And we know. No, we know, and this is work. This is work that we're doing.
Yeah.
It's work that we continue to do. I don't want to make any I'm going to stay away from forward-looking statements. But this is the type of feedback. But it's also the feedback that and information that we need.
Yeah. No. Sure.
And it's why that
you see, inevitably a company is going to be bought or sold. It's always going to happen.
Look, M&A is some of our biggest.
Oh, it's huge.
But there's also that's also opportunity.
Yeah.
Right. We look at it as from both sides of the fence. It's something that we have to address because that's what our customers are doing.
Yes.
And I want to be clear. We don't do anything inside of Azure Active Directory unless there's a customer need to do it.
Yeah.
We no longer sit in a room on whiteboards and come up with shiny disco ball things, thinking, well, if we could only get our customers to adopt this,
Yeah.
it doesn't even get to the next stage until there's a customer story.
Customer
And
stories,
every
customer
time we
demands.
build a new feature inside of the service, it is tented inside of a private preview first before it goes out into a broader public preview.
Yes.
All the feedback comes in, all the changes and modifications. And there are times that something will sit in that public preview for a considerable amount of time because maybe we didn't get it exactly right the first time.
VNet
And it's
integration.
Up to us. It's up to us to make that modification based on what our customers needs, not how we look at that. And then, we'll obviously put it into GA. And that is something, that's why I am in the space. That's why I'm in the team. We are that customer obsessed. I have 80 engineers here that have been just absolutely inundated in the booth. In addition to doing sessions, the developer side is there's a lot of stuff happening there in terms of, as Rick mentioned, with application modernization and modernization of the platform. You got to modernize the identity piece as well, right? And you have to start moving things up. And so it's just really important for folks to understand. I know there's a lot of hard things. We're also trying to make life easier because identity at its core can be a very challenging thing to do.
Oh, yes.
Well, it used to be, 5 years and a slide deck that you paid $1 million for that had 15 chevrons at the top, and you can't do a single thing until you tick off all those 15 pieces. Now you can't do that anymore with identity. You've got to protect that thing first. Turn on MFA. If you do nothing else, turn on MFA.
Yeah.
Via conditional access and get that identity protected. And then we can start moving down the path of doing things like provisioning and deprovisioning, and which we can already do. You can actually, we have inbound provisioning through Workday. We're working on other platforms as well and integration there to do inbound provisioning. You can do outbound provisioning with a whole ton of applications. There's 1.3, we might be at 1.4 million applications that have integration with Azure Active Directory today.
How many again? Say that number.
We're probably close to 1.4 million. I know we were 1.3. That number is 2 months old.
And those are discrete applications.
Those are applications that currently have integration with Azure Active Directory. Yep. But that doesn't matter. The fact that you have
PowerShell is one of them, right?
100%.
And so all the other applications that use PowerShell in the back to make those commands count as one.
So, Rick, what did you do last summer?
And then the other thing too is
Painted my house, worked on my Jeep.
we made a lot of announcements here at Ignite and recently around partnerships that we have with things like F5.
Yes.
Where now we can expose applications behind those F5 appliances. But here's the cool thing. You can set the policy on the individual application. You're not just doing it, everything that hits the F5. So that changes how you can modernize your applications as well, right?
Yeah.
We do. So we've been spending a lot of time on that because we, as you mentioned, it's not the thing anymore. It's not the firewall. We have to start going, how do we get these apps? And 1.4 million apps is awesome, but we have to make sure that we hit the ones everybody is using. And that's exactly what we've done.
Yeah.
So the top application providers that need authentication, we have those partnerships with them, and they can do the things that we want them to do. And it's all standards based. So we're not going out and creating some new wild, wacky way to connect things.
Yeah.
Right? We provision through SCIM. Right? We do passwordless through FIDO too. We contribute to the standards. I did an interview with Pamela Dingle, whose entire job, she's a director in product marketing. She works for Alex Simons in our org, and all she does is standards. And it's incredible the amount of effort and time and contributions that we're making to these standards to ensure that we can do this, not just now and doing it the right way, but doing it the right way moving
We were
forward.
talking to Julia the other day. I've got this thing about ICS standards.
Oh,
so
Julia Foran.
Yeah, a calendar invite. Like, who actually follows those standards? Because they're all different, man.
If you want to have real fun with standards, go read the CSV standard.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Hardcore.
Oh, it's a hot mess.
It's a hot mess.
It's a hot mess. It's old. It's
Yeah.
outdated. We're doing things. Yeah, it was never meant to be.
Is
what
it is it a
That's-
comma or
That's
is
the
it a
quote of the
semicolon?
show. That's the quote of the show right there. It's a
Yeah,
hot mess.
it's a hot mess.
It's a hot mess.
There we go.
That's what Pamela told me anyway. Yeah. It's DNS. It's always DNS.
Yeah.
We always blame DNS.
or networking.
I have a question for you, actually.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking.
Please.
I mean, the show topic.
mind.
No, I'm not. Well, it's my turn to talk now. the the question, the one of the topics we're talking about today is obviously going to be multi-cloud management sort of stuff. Do you have customers asking for this? Is it only that first level of introductory people that are going that path? Or is everyone asking for this? Because is it a checkbox exercise, or is it a real, actual ask that's happening?
So to be honest with you, I think it's a real ask. Because you'll see that a particular client will never put together just an Azure framework for their company. They want it to be a cloud framework. So they want to make sure that these policies cover everything moving forward, because it's a big change for them. So they've now gone and set down policies, who can do this, who can do that can be spun up, that can't, where can be accessed the portal from, and that all gets documented. But there's no point in doing it just for Azure. You'll see some of the banks in South Africa, for instance, have done AWS first.
Of course.
Right? And now they're porting that AWS document to Blueprints. And obviously with something like Lighthouse coming out as well, which, manages those blueprints across all those different tenants. Yes, I would say having a single place to manage all those things is very important. Because some of them already have them. I mean, you'll see Cape Town, for instance, has a very large AWS.
Huge contingent. Especially in particular sectors like retail.
Yeah.
Retail loves Amazon.
Because for some reason, you got these diehard Linux dudes who haven't seen the light. And they're like, if you're a Linux person, then you have to go AWS and be faithful. Which is like the wrong way around. I mean, we know this. I mean, I'm a Linux boy. And Microsoft is #1 open source contributor on the planet. But no. You're betraying the shell. If you go to Microsoft, betraying the shell. It's a hot mess.
Betraying the shell and hot mess are now the themes of this particular episode of the podcast, right?
I'll give you.
So to answer your question, yes, I think it's.
I'll give you my spin on this as well, and then I'll maybe ask you to comment on that. So my biggest ask for customers going multi-cloud is that they're trying to avoid vendor lock-in. So I'll put a little bit here, put a little bit there. Well, I'll use the commercial angle, as you know well, that I'm going to tell Microsoft that I'm going to do a percentage of my workload on another cloud, no matter how well or how badly it does it, because I'm trying to avoid commercial lock-in, or I want a commercial angle. The biggest pain for me on that is management overhead. And having there's no single pane on anything. There's multiple places of audit. There's multiple management infrastructures. Having to spend a lot of money with third parties to get those logs into a central location, which tends to be on premises,
right,
and not scale.
Yep. So I agree with that. At the same time, what I find is interesting is some customers that are jumping into this conversation without thoroughly thinking it out. Is I forget who mentioned it was online. They were talking about how if you look at adopting a multi-cloud environment, you're not going to get the full depth and breadth of the power of that particular platform vendor, because you have to leave only so much so deep, and that applies to all three of the clouds that's out there. That's why I find the concept of Arc very interesting, because it doesn't matter to us where those resources happen to be. We'll give you the insights. So we're kind of like I'm not going to call it a SEM device, but we're kind of like that inside of the Azure space, because we bring stuff back in to do the analytics on it. But you can leave your Kubernetes running over in AWS if you want to. You can have your Elastic Compute or go off and do NVIDIA AI type stuff in Google if you wanted to. But you can also do it here too. And that's true for, as I mentioned, that all three vendors, obviously, we will make it the best experience possible inside of our own clouds for all the different services that you have. Same thing with AWS, same thing with the Google. That's just the strategy that all three players are doing. We're the first one to go out and actually try to say, okay, well, the reality is customers are looking for this. We're asking for this. So let's go off and give you an awesome experience here inside of Azure, but then also give you the insights from those other places.
Well, it's the same thing from a security perspective, and I hear this all the time when I talk about Azure Active Directory, which then tends to lead down the discussion of things like ATP
Yes.
and some of the other security technologies that we have, because we're kind of all together, because that's how we're sold, right, as part of EMS.
Right.
But yes, there are multi-vendors out there. The one advantage that I see inside our stuff is the sheer volume of information and signals that we have, where we're getting them from, our ability to take action on those signals, and then even more importantly, how inside all of our products, we all can share that signals data, right? And we
But
can all take
at the
different
same time,
actions
it's
on
the
that.
new Microsoft, right? So if you have to look from sort of when Satya took over, and everything started getting open sourced, and there was more collaboration, and there weren't these big walls anymore. You can see that Microsoft now is probably the number one integrator of other products into their product. If you look at it holistically, there are APIs to do so many things. There are, I mean, if you look at the graph framework,
Yep.
you can literally do whatever you want and get any data out of it, and then you can present it in any way you want it to be, and you can do it securely. And there's like none of that. You have to stick with us anymore.
One of
Just choose it and mix and match.
one of the biggest workloads that we authenticate to is Google.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's we share that. We share that all the time. I'd say
yeah.
it was probably in Alex's presentation earlier this week.
Yeah.
And so yeah, 100%.
What's the circumstance
I understand,
there, though?
but well, sorry.
What's the circumstance there?
Well, they're authenticating to Google applications.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it inbound from Google or is it outbound to Google?
So it's an Azure Active Directory identity is being used to access a Google app.
Google Docs or whatever happens to be out there.
Because remember, and identity that's a little bit tricky in terms of you really don't want to have identities living in multiple places.
You don't.
Because
the
that
worst
means
part.
there's more crappy passwords locating it
Yeah.
in other
Yep.
places, and that's another thing that somebody has to manage. Identity is the one thing that you have to get right. You have to make sure that you've got it and it's secured and it's protected and you can manage it and you can govern against it.
There's only one of them.
Yep.
Well, ideally, yes.
If
Ideally.
there's anything I can take away from Ignite, is how I can fix that problem that I'm having.
Well,
Remember
but listen, we're very clear about our intention moving forward. We want to take identity out of the hands of companies and businesses and everybody else and bring it back to the individual. That's our future vision, right? Where the person can control that identity and then give the ability for me to use that
And then
identity
all the
somewhere
CIOs' heads explode.
and then take it back. But that's where we have to go. That's where we have to go. And particularly, I mean, just look, how many of us really don't think our data's out there? I mean, come on.
Good point.
We were talking on the way to the airport here that
They know
there's more
everything about us,
more
yeah.
PII on your phone than there is on throughout your house in any documentation.
Yeah.
And we carry these things around with us. Right? We connect to unsecured Wi-Fi's and all the other bad behavior that we have.
Bluetooth beaconing as you're walking through a mall.
Yeah.
To be able to know where you are in the mall and what you're doing just by having your Bluetooth stack on.
So I understand the concern around vendor lock-in, but at the same time, there are benefits to leveraging services from a vendor that can have that communication and share that data across and making that data exposed to you so that you can take action, or even better, let the AI do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to manage session risk. That's ridiculous to me. I don't know what the best rule is for when a session is risky or when a user account
What do you
is
mean
risky.
I can't log in here in Orlando and in Seattle within an
all
hour
at
of
the
each
same
other?
time,
Yeah.
right? That impossible travel scenario. Or, hey, maybe I didn't know that my username and password ended up in some breach and I've not changed it and I'm a global admin.
Yeah.
You think you might want to know about that, and even better, just next time go, who's the right one? No, that's me because I've got a second factor of auth.
Yes.
And now, Joey, let's reset your password. Or in this case, just MFA me because I'm passwordless. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just in time use. So you don't need to be a high risk person with global admin that gets targeted.
Well, and that's really the key piece is that you shouldn't be running global admin anyway.
Yep.
You should only elevate when necessary. And even more importantly, we shouldn't be requiring you to be global admin to do a lot of the things that you have, which is why we're doing a lot of investment, a lot of work around.
I was about to ask, because there's a bunch of stuff in Teams that you can't do with just-in-time. Other products, not quite there yet.
But hold on a second. Teams is a very complicated beast.
No, it's fine. But then the guidance that you see is I need this role in Teams and I need that role in Teams. And unless you, and even if you just in time them, unless you then decide to temporarily grant someone global admins, stuff still doesn't work, right? So RBAC is not as transparent, as ubiquitous as we want it yet. But what I'm hearing from you is
that go back
it
and
will
look
be.
Yeah, well, we've been doing that. We've made significant investments in that. We've made investments in that we've talked about here with some new reader roles that we've announced here. So we have to continue. The best way that I can explain this is that we don't ship product anymore. We don't ship a new version of Active Directory anymore. We haven't done that in years and years and years.
Yeah.
We are a service. We enhance the service consistently. We have to go faster. Yep. We have to do it faster because we have to get to where our customers need it.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult thing for IT professionals to kind of get their heads around, because either we're not fast enough or we're too bloody fast. But that's where that push and pull, we made changes because we understood that we had to provide this pathway to do hybrid identity.
And where do you draw the line with stability as well?
Right. And how do we make it easier for people to actually go passwordless? And those are things that we heard from our customers. They're like, look, this is Sue Bone, who I work for, says when we did passwordless initially, it was like a moonshot. And our customers are like, yo, what are you guys doing? We're not like this.
Yes.
We're like this. We need you to help us get there in this manner. And we listened and we made those adjustments. So I 100% hear you around that in RBAC and those kinds of things. Just as a few years ago, you had to be global admin to do everything. And that's not good behavior. We have to change that behavior internally too. And we work on that. And it's not just, hey, our customers are Microsoft too. Microsoft is our customer too. And we have to make those adjustments inside.
Yeah, the best part is, as you mentioned, we don't ship product anymore. It's services. I can't even... Not from the admin side or the design side, as you brought up there, but even just from a user side, opening up one of my apps, be it Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Flow, tooling, or Microsoft Teams, stuff like that, I always get a little surprise in the morning when it says, oh, you've been updated to the latest version. Okay, great. What changed? What can I find? So, as an end user that's a geek and a tech person, I love to go off and find all the new stuff that's possibly there to be able to go off and find it. So that's happening.
Insider fast.
Yeah. It just goes there. Yeah, all about staging out those rollouts to different people. You don't necessarily want to have that all over the place. But yeah, no. Teams evolve. Software products evolve. The stuff inside of Azure evolves. There's no longer GAs anymore. Makes it hard for us to be able to talk about announcements because that's been out for a while, but it just went GA. But really, everyone's been using it for the last 6 months. So really, is it the big hype anymore? Not so much so. So it's kind of fun to see where that's going to continue to evolve and how it changes us as technologists.
We are coming up to the top of the hour.
Oh, yes.
So...
And you've got a session to deliver somewhere.
Yeah?
Dude.
It started 20 minutes ago.
Damn it.
So let us ask you, how would the two of you like to be found on socials?
Oh, dude.
No.
Come on.
Let's not assume that everybody knows who everybody is. So let's just ask Rick and Joey how they would like to be found, and then also ask you.
Shameless promotion.
I want one of these.
What you would like to plug.
Yeah, sure. You want to go ahead and start first?
From a social and fun and community perspective, you can find us both online together because no one knows who is who and what is what, and switch and patch and patch and switch. @patch and switch is where we normally happen to be on the social community and the fun side.
We do a podcast every other Friday on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/patch and switch. And then from a personal perspective, you can find me on Twitter. I'm @JoeySnow.
And I'm @RicksterCDN, and I manage a team of folks that follow the hashtag AZOps for our bat signal in case you have a question about operation stuff inside of Azure or on premises or with identity or with Teams or with other things like that. Shoot us a message with the hashtag and one of us will be able to get you. We almost follow the sun around the earth right now.
And turn on MFA. Turn on MFA.
It's a great demo to turn that on, by the way. You know what it is? Check.
Done.
Done.
Yes. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank
it's
you,
been a real
guys.
pleasure.
Yeah,
and a
thanks
real
for
honor
having
to
us.
have
It was
you.
a lot of fun.
Sweet.
It's been an awesome show. Thank you very much. See you around.